D4 Galway, 21 points, a very comfortable, resounding win for the Cats and for Kilkenny. They have absolutely blew Galway out of water here. A very comfortable win, a very commanding performance by Kilkenny, and disappointment from Galway. Huge amount of disappointment. I mean, they were so flat, so poor, couldn't get their players into the game at all. Like Conor Whelan, anonymous in the game, really. You barely even know he was playing. He only scored 1 point. The long balls into Brian Concannon just didn't work at all. And Kilkenny were just so comfortable. I don't even think, I still think Kilkenny probably have another gear to go up on as well. And obviously still have TJ Reid to come back into the side. Adrian Mullen obviously goes off injured, so we'll see obviously what's happening with him. But this was so comfortable from a Kilkenny perspective. And for Galway, it's just the same old, same old. It's the same old thing again from a Galway perspective. We've seen this time and time again last season when they couldn't get out of round robin. It was flat. It was lethargic. It was poor. And, Micheál Donoghue's come into Galway. He hasn't really got a tune out of him in the league. You were thinking, right, first game, championship, Kilkenny, Nowlan Park. I thought them playing away would actually suit them as well because, sometimes when you're playing at home and you're low on confidence, the crowd, you can feel the energy in the crowd if you misplace a pass or you put a shot wide or something like that. So I actually thought playing in Nowlan Park would maybe suit Galway a little bit more. But they were just so flat and so poor. And right from the get-go, really, Kilkenny obviously getting themselves a goal through Adrian Mullen. Really well taken finish. And like in the opening 10 to 15 minutes, it was very even. Both sides kind of feeling their way into it. There wasn't really much between either of the sides. In fairness, there wasn't really too much in it. And then, like the more the game went on, the more that Kilkenny pulled away. Like they outscored Galway 10 points to 3, I think from about the 20th minute onwards. But then you're thinking, right, I think Kilkenny had a 6 to 7 point lead at halftime. The game wasn't done. The game wasn't over. Look, Galway, with a bit of momentum, with a bit of energy, with a bit of fight, they would be able to maybe get back into this. But it wasn't the case at all. I mean, Kilkenny right at the start of the second half, getting a couple of points on the board. I think you have to shout out Owen Cody once again. Another phenomenal performance from him, 1-5. Mossy Keown was obviously very good with 1-2 as well. And it was just so comfortable for Kilkenny. And I think, do you know what? If I was a Galway fan, I understand that there maybe isn't, there doesn't seem to be a huge amount of talent coming through in Galway. There doesn't seem to be a huge amount of players coming through. Their underage is decent. They've had a couple of under-20 teams in the last couple of years, but those players don't really seem to be making the step up. And maybe there is a bit of an over-reliance on your Conor Cooney's, your Cathal Mannions, Conor Cooney as well. There is a bit of an over-reliance on those players at the best of times. But I would still expect to see a bit more fight, a bit more energy from Galway, and we just didn't see that at all. Their half-back line was absolutely dominated. I mean, you have to commend Fionn Mackesy, coming in his championship debut with Kilkenny. Obviously, he's played for Kerry in the past, but with Kilkenny, this is his debut. Absolutely outstanding performance from him. John Donnelly was outstanding as well. Adrian Mullen, very good in the first half. Stephen Donnelly, who came off the bench, was very good as well. And Galway just couldn't get a look in. They couldn't get any challenges in. Kilkenny were running rings around them. And then anytime Galway would float balls into Brian Concannon or Conor Whelan, John Fleming, to be fair, I thought had some bright sparks for Galway. He finished the day with 2 points, but he was getting on the ball and he was trying to make it happen. But it was just too easy for Kilkenny, and the breaking balls, the loose balls, Kilkenny were able to gobble up. And you have to commend Kilkenny's defence in particular. Mikey Carey had a very good game with 2 points, but Richie Reid was outstanding. Hugh Lawler and Mikey Butler both had commendable performances in there as well. And yeah, it was sloppy. It was poor from a Galway perspective. And they just never got going at all. And, it's the same, you look at Galway last year under Henry Shefflin, and we've seen so many of them performances, so many of, occasions where they were flat, they were poor, and they would be beaten, but, not just beaten, battered, really, and we saw that a lot of the time. And this just wasn't any different at all. And, I know Liam, who came on the show, got a bit of stick and everything else, and maybe myself as well, for thinking that Galway won't finish in the top 3. Look, I do think Galway will finish in the top 3. But to be honest with you, they've a lot of work to do, because you start to look at it and think, can they beat Wexford, who obviously beat them last year when they had a man less as well? You've got Dublin, who've got a great record against Galway. They'll be playing them in Parnell Park as well. So it's worrying signs for Galway. And I think for Galway, for back-to-back seasons to knock it out of the top 3 in Leinster, that's atrocious, really. Do you know what I mean? Because they definitely have the quality to do so. And it's it's worrying times, it must be said, from a Galway perspective. Running through some comments that have come in here. Senan says here, was atrocious, and I'm starting to think Offaly will get third. Do you know what the thing is? It's Wexford are very inconsistent. You don't know what you're going to get from them at the best of times. They beat Antrim today. Game wasn't on TV, so obviously we don't really know the kind of ins and outs as to how that game went. Maybe any Wexford fans who were there can let us know. But yeah, there's Dublin are very inconsistent at times. I think there's a bit of a transition there. I couldn't see Antrim getting into the top 3. So look, if Offaly can take a scalp, if they can beat Dublin, which obviously that game is due to throw in about 20 minutes time, if Offaly can take a scalp there, then who knows? Maybe they do have a chance. Beast says Dublin for Leinster. Beast also says felt like a league game. Yeah, there was a bit of lack of intensity, I think. Even in the opening kind of 10-15 minutes, even from the crowd as well. You do get that sometimes, I find, in Leinster around robin games. There's not as much jeopardy, and I feel like, for the Kilkenny fans there, they know they're getting out of Leinster. They know they'll probably be in a Leinster final. So there isn't as much kind of intensity in these games. In saying that, though, Kilkenny were outstanding, and it was up to Galway to then match Kilkenny's intensity, from the end of the first half through the second half, but that just didn't happen at all. But yeah. Senan says, Beast, I don't think Dublin will win tonight, let alone in Leinster. And Beast also says, Clare, man, here I would probably be wrong. But again, who else would challenge Kilkenny? No disrespect to others, just not good enough. It's hard to know. But look, I mean, if Dublin can win, whoever wins today has a bit of momentum going into next weekend. As a Dublin fan, I would fancy our chances of getting out of Leinster. But again, it's more so down to the inconsistencies of Galway, Wexford, and I think Dublin can beat those teams because we've proven it over the last couple of seasons. But yeah, phenomenal performance from Kilkenny in the end. In terms of man of the match, I think Fionn Mackesy was outstanding. 4 points. He had a really, really good game. You could look at Owen Cody as well. I think you could look at Cian Kenny and even Jordan Malloy, who are both outstanding as well. And even just running through the scores here, Owen Cody with 1-5, Mossy Keown with 1-2, Billy Ryan 2 points, Fionn Mackesy with 4, John Donnelly with a point, Adrian Mullen getting a goal, Jordan Malloy with 3, Cian Kenny with 2, Mikey Carey with 2, Stephen Donnelly with 2 points, and then Luke Hogan gets a point as well there. So brilliant from a Kilkenny perspective. And then just looking at it from a Galway perspective, Declan McLaughlin with a point, Conor Whelan with a point, also a point there from Tiernan Killeen. Cathal Mannion, who, to be fair, he scored 10 points, so he had a good performance. As we were saying, John Fleming with 2, Keenan Fahy with 2, TJ Brennan and Gavin Lee both with a point, and Conor Cooney got 2 points as well. So yeah, worrying signs from a Galway perspective. Brilliant, obviously, from a Kilkenny perspective. Comfortable victory, really, and what always looks like on paper one of the toughest games, really. So you would imagine Kilkenny are going to be in that Leinster final, because look, they will beat Dublin, they will beat Offaly, they will beat Antrim. Wexford is always the one where sometimes Kilkenny lose, but even at that, they'll probably still make the final, even if they did slip up there. So yeah, big win there from a Kilkenny perspective. B says hard to know where Kilkenny are compared to Clare, Cork, Limerick. Won't really know until half time of the All-Ireland semi-final. Yeah, no, look, it's a fair point. It's, Kilkenny are they don't have the same tests that you would get in Munster. They'll probably win the Leinster Championship, which means, it's probably going to be an All-Ireland semi-final against whoever comes through Munster. So it's going to be interesting to see, obviously, how it pans out and how it plays out. But congratulations to Kilkenny, a great start for them. 324 to 21 points. And for Galway, yeah, they have massive work to do, in all honesty, because it was just so flat, so lethargic, a lack of energy about their team, and a lack of want as well, which I think is the most worrying thing. Because whatever about getting beat, but to get beat by 12, like that's just embarrassing, really, in my opinion. But there we go. So yeah, let me know your thoughts, your opinions in the comments down below. We'll be back after the Cork-Kerry game a little bit later. Maybe after the Mayo Leitrim game as well, but I actually haven't watched any of that. But it seems to be a closer game than people expected. So yeah, cheers anyone who tuned in, and we'll speak to y'all later.